And when I say I'm rounding up the dogs, I'm rounding up the dogs. Let's go, guys. Let's go, guys. Time to go in. Always covered with grass. This guy always hangs close to me. Hey, Opie. Alright, after a long pause dealing with cold temperatures in a unheated shop and getting stuff for the Mustang and getting sidetracked by that, as promised, we're back on the Cobra. What I'm doing is we're setting gaps and finishing out the rough body work on the doors, the hood, and eventually the trunk lid. As you've noted in prior videos, the gaps are not consistent enough to really look good. They are getting closer. Basically what I'm going to be doing is this. Now if you recall on the hood, we had a little bit bigger gap than I wanted up here, but that's okay. The gap back here is fine, and the gap over there is mostly fine. This right here is really, really tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the hood. I'm going to run some tape around it. This edge right here to set where I need to sand, and then we're just going to start sanding. Once I get the gap area set, I'm going to remove the doors, remove the hood, and eventually the trunk lid, and finish out the bottom edges. Smooth all this out where it looks nice and neat. Let's get started. All right, what you're seeing here, this gap has opened up very nicely all the way around. Might want to take it down just a little bit more here, but I may not because it looks really good. It's all even down this side here. We've got a good gap placement here. Coming over to the other side, I've got a few areas to address right here, but other than that, this is just about dialed in. Okay, we've got a uniform gap now. These are a little bit blocked off, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the hood off and I'm going to round these edges out and dress them out nicely, but the important thing is the gap fitment is just about there. I may take a little bit more off here, and then at that point I'm going to call it good. The hood is fitting nicely. Of course, that'll tighten up a little bit more once we get the weather stripping on it. So I think we're looking really good right now. Down here on this door, again, the other door is ready to go. This door, I've got some of the kitty hair on the way to address this issue. These gaps back here are good, so I'm going to address these gaps down here now before that. I'm going to be pulling the body back off the car before I address the trunk, because once I get that done, I'm going to put all the weather strip on the trunk and everything and get everything situated there. And I'm going to go ahead and jam the body and set the body back on top of it after I get all the wiring loom done and after the weather strip and everything is in there, so I can better position the trunk lid and have that good to go as well. So the trunk lid will have to wait. Next up, we're going to do the remaining parts of that door, and at that point we'll move on to the next step, which is blowing it back apart, pulling the body off. Okay, more progress. Gaps are looking much better now. All the way around, I've got a uniform gap. It's a little bit too close here. I think I'm going to come in here and trim this just a little bit more. This is sticking out a little bit. If you recall, in much earlier videos, I had to trim off the mold seam right here. This is a little bit flat. I think I can build that up slightly, smooth this out. This right here, you can see that it's much more even. I've got it fitting better. This gap has closed considerable amount. So I think we're good there. It's time to pull this door off, finish up. I'm going to mark my tape line one more time down there, take a little bit more off of that, then finish up and pull those doors off. That door over there looks good. This hood, with the exception of this right here, I need to open up this gap just a little bit more. The hood is fitting really nicely. Once all this is done, I'm going to pull the hood and the doors off of it, get those nice and dressed up, get them scuffed, get them in primer, and use the filler. Of course, I've got the filler that'll be here tomorrow. I'm going to finish up and fine tune that gap on that door right there, but it's a lot smaller now, so we should be good to go on that. I know I have a plan on making the trunk fit really well, so I've got to get the items in for that. Let's keep going. What I've done here is I've come in with kitty hair, which is fiberglass infused filler, and I'm trying to fill this gap. I used myself a paint stick to block on that, and I can use my Dremel tool to cut that out of there once it's all nice and set, and then I can sand it to fill in that gap just a little bit. As you can see, it didn't need much of a gap filling, it just needed a little bit. So I'm going to see how this works, and if I need to fill a little more, I'll add a little more. Well, it's time to ask that question. Where are we? Because I've come to a stopping point, and I think I'm going to end the video with this particular part right here. Still be doing more work, of course. We're not even close to having the body work done, but let's show you what we've gotten done all together. As noted, the hood is good to go. I've knocked the gel coat off of 90% of it. I'll take the hood off. I've got to take the hood off, and I'll do the rest of these pieces around the edge and the underside once it's actually off. I've also knocked the gel coat off of both of the doors. Now, I use a paint stick, the thickness of a paint stick, to determine my gaps. And as you can see right here, the gaps all the way around, they look good. All the way around there. Come over to the other side. Of course, I haven't touched the trunk yet because that's going to take some more work. The gaps here were good, all the way around. Up here, this is the area where I cut off too much and had too big of a gap. Came in here with kitty hair, and which is essentially fiberglass and resin all mixed together, and then you add the hardener, and it's just like putting fiberglass in. And then of course I dressed it up using the filler, which is curing. I'll sand all that down later, but the gap is right now all the way around. We're good to go. Gaps are satisfactory on this. I may do some minor cleaning up on the hood, but I'm happy with where it is. Gel coat is knocked down. So what comes next? Well, it's quite simple. It is time to blow it all apart. Once I get those areas there and there sanded, something I did forget to mention, if you remember, we had a bit of a dip on where the door meets the body. This is built up a little bit too much. I'm a novice at spreading filler, so I tend to use too much and then sand it down, kind of like the weld and grind method when you're welding. But this right here is level now, as well as the other side. I had to build it up quite a bit. Not using filler. This has got kitty hair underneath it, and the filler is just basically to smooth it out because the kitty hair is really roughed in. But the gaps are good. This right here may have a little bit more work to do here, but I don't think so. I think it's satisfactory. So all of that is done. We'll blow this thing back apart. When I get it back apart, I've got a leaky exhaust gasket to fix, and then it's a matter of actually doing the final body work to get this thing ready to paint and getting the trunk dialed in. The trunk, I've got some fitting to do. There's some weather strip that goes on the tub in the back that I haven't got on yet that will alter the position of the body a little bit. So I did not want to do anything like this. We still have this gap down here, but I think I've got a fix for that on the way as well. So we're going to take this thing completely back apart, pull the body off of it, and get started again. I wish you could see my camera and see all of the dust on it. This is the messiest part of building any car, honestly, but it's got to be done. We've made excellent progress. As far off as the doors and the hood were when I first started building this thing, and the hood was off as much as almost a ½ inch to an inch in some areas. Finally got everything dialed in and tweaked. The doors are fitting good. What I will do on the doors, there's one more thing on the doors and the hood that I will do, because as you know, I've been sanding that off and it's got kind of a squared off edge on it. I'll come in there with sandpaper, which I'll show you how to do that later, and hand sand those edges to round those off nice and smooth as well. So that'll be coming as well. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you for joining Buck Basin Hot Rods. If you like this content, please hit like and subscribe. I appreciate it. We're close to 750 subscribers, so the channel is growing. Again, I'm not intending to monetize this channel at all, but the more people I can get joined and share notes. I've already met quite a few really cool people on this channel, including the gentleman at Finley Craft and of course Pete from Pete's Snake Bite Kit. A couple of friends of mine. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Till then, I've got to go round up my dogs and do some editing. We'll see you then.